Hey everybody, we have a little bit of a special episode this week because we had a special request from a viewer. They wanted us to do Borderlands, and I thought, well, I hate Borderlands, I hate Gearbox, I hate Randy Pitchford, I hate the writer, and I hate Eli Roth, the writer-director. I hate Kevin Hart, the actor.
That was Anthony
Yeah,
Birch.
why not?
Anthony Birch, the writer, by the way.
Anthony Birch, yes. I don't know why I said Anthony. Yeah, I got into Ashley for some reason.
Well, Ashley's the sister, which is also
Ashley
Tiny
is the
Tina,
sister.
which is, oh god, fucking Borderlands.
Oh, God, Tiny Tina. Welcome to Rough Cuts.
Dogs, they're coming. They're coming your way. They'll be here soon.
Hey, they're the dog people, aren't they?
Brave Vault Hunters! You've come in search of the secret lost vault of Pandora!
You ready to kick some ass?
Okay, let's go.
Hey. Catch! If the legends were true,
I'm the only one who can open the vault. What are you doing?
feel free to applaud.
Follow me this way. I have a tremendous sense of
It's pink.
It's in my mouth!
You get a bullet? You get a bullet?
Big bullet coming. Everybody run!
Yeah, anyway, I'm Boyks, that's Ilyon. Rough Cuts. We watch movies with dogs, we rate the dogs at the end. There's probably a dog in here somewhere. I'm sure we can make it work.
Claptrap's a dog. Oh, I don't want to insult dogs.
We'll have to rate Claptrap at the end, don't worry. The important thing is
I
Borderlands...
think there's a second dog. I think there's a different dog, but go ahead. Borderlands is...
There's two dogs?
I think there's a second dog.
This
I have
is news
a
to me.
theory. I have a theory about a second dog.
Oh, man. Anyway, so Borderlands, as we all know, is in theater... Wait, I'm being passed a note.
Okay. I have a story about that really quickly, actually. I was so happy in a way that... So I've been very sick. You'll probably hear that in my voice. Poor Boyks is going to have to edit out some coughing. But I was looking at the theater times, and I had to delay it basically a week. And then I went, wait a minute. If I wait another 2 days, I think it goes to the cheap theater.
And streaming, technically.
So I stalled 2 days and got it when it was in the very cheap theater for like $5.
You didn't want to pay... Oh, God, how much was it? It was, I think, $45 for a Claptrap popcorn bucket. You didn't want to pay $45 for a collectible Claptrap popcorn bucket? With LED flashlight?
God.
No?
How many people were in your theater?
Let's talk about the movie theater experience. we haven't been to the movies in a while. What was the last movie we went to? And this is partly because
was
of
it
the
Cats?
I think it was Sonic.
No, Cats was after Sonic, wasn't it?
Cats was first, and then Sonic. I think Sonic was the movie we went to pre-pandemic. But it's a blur because I was in the fetal position for most of Cats, so I don't remember the exact timing. But it was one of those two, right? And then
definitely.
Because of the nature of the podcast, there aren't that many movies that come out that are worth going to a theater for, except Strays, and I was not going to a fucking movie theater for Strays.
Oh, thank Christ we didn't do it for that.
I would have fucking died. Literally
that
dead.
would have been the end of this podcast.
Because walking out of a theater of Strays is like, they have to put you on a list.
Yeah, like immediately when you get into Strays and then you're sitting there and you're going like, oh shit, I don't have like a disguise or a mask of any kind. Like
I forgot my
people will
mustache and my
know.
other trench coat.
Yeah,
Fuck.
shit. People will know that I'm a pervert.
The fuck? Who the hell are these dogs? Jesus Christ, it's like a fucking dog movie in here.
So, like, we don't go to the theater much, I guess. And Borderlands is brand new, and it's already out of theaters before we recorded the episode. So that's, like, not a good sign.
Yeah, we don't go to the theater much, but despite being perverts, we just don't try to do it publicly too often.
Yeah, I decided to go to a nice, easy 10:30 in the morning Sunday showing.
Oh.
Of Borderlands. Because my thought
you wanted to just wreck your whole fucking day, huh?
Well, my thought was we already record on Sunday morning. I'm already up. They have an early showing. I'll just go to that.
Your Sunday's always ruined
it's always
anyway.
ruined anyway. I might as well. And there were 3 other people in that theater. So of the 3 people was a grandma in the back corner, a dad and his son, who had to be like 10, 12. And then me in the other back corner with a notepad angled slightly towards the lights on the aisle that are like the safety lights, so I can write during the dark scenes. So in total 4 of us. Admittedly, an early morning showing, but
dang, my theater was popping because it was the first day of the cheap theater on Friday night.
Oh man.
Which of course meant
that's when everybody's got to show up. Yeah.
Yeah. That meant there were 8 people, including me and my wife.
Oh man,
who came with me because it was my birthday the other week, and she thought that she wanted to just hang out with me a little bit. She regretted it.
Oh yeah, no, that's a waste of the time. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, previous special guest Tanya.
I did keep a note of laughs in this movie because it's a comedy. It's a comedy, right?
Yep.
There has to be laughs. And I kept a note of the exact time of that laugh in the film, as as other jokes.
Dang.
So I have data, is what I'm saying. And the reason I have data is because the way this movie has been talked about on the internet is similar, I think, to the way Cats was talked about. But my reaction to Cats was much more visceral than this movie.
Yes.
In that it's the worst thing ever filmed. It's Son of the Mask 2. It's Dragon Ball Evolution 3, I've heard, or whatever. Like, it's if they had a baby and it was, I don't know, some Avatar again. And
I have a question for you. You said that you recorded laughs.
There were laughs.
Were those your laughs?
I did not laugh at a single joke in this.
Okay, I needed to make sure fact, so that I could get out of here if you were saying that it was you.
So there was the grandma, the dad, and the child, right?
Yes.
One of those people laughed in that movie, but it was multiple times. So I'm counting.
Guessing it's the dad.
It's the dad.
Yeah,
not the kid.
That is exactly the experience I had in my theater, that there was a dad with like a 16-year-old, and I'm like, the dad laughed 3 times. I didn't record them and timestamp them, but I just knew in my head because there were so few laughs that every time that it happened, it was like notable. So notable that I remember somebody later on was saying, oh, hey, there's 3 laughs? I didn't expect 3 good jokes from there. And I went, hey, don't put fucking words in my mouth. I did not say 3 good jokes.
No, there were no good jokes.
In fact, every time that he laughed, the exact next thing that I did on automatic was just like whip my head to Tanya next to me. And and she whipped her head to me as we both did it like, look at this motherfucker. Like every time. Who the fuck is this dude? Yeah, what the hell is this asshole's problem? Literally was our reaction every time, instantly, because it is a movie for assholes by assholes.
Even more so than Strays, which is already a movie for assholes, I will say.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I think the other problem, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the movie experience.
Of course,
I paid $14.
Cool.
US. I did not get popcorn or soda because I was not going to spend another $20 for drinks and whatnot for this, and I was going to be writing the whole time anyway. so I didn't have time to enjoy snacks.
Mm-hmm.
And there were trailers at the beginning, of course. One thing I noticed is that like all of the trailers were sequels to already established franchises. There was like no new ideas except for one, which was a Dave Bautista assassin movie, which isn't a new idea because it's just copying like 70 different animes I've seen.
Oh, I didn't know there was a David Bautista assassin movie.
Yeah, it's him as an assassin, but all the other assassins are trying to assassinate him. But he has no charisma or jokes, so...
Oh, that's too bad, because I
sucks
feel like
he's
Dave
actually
Bautista
pretty
has
good.
charisma and jokes, yeah.
He's really funny in Glass Onion, he's really funny in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
and that trailer had no jokes. Or it was just bad. And then the only other 2 movies they showed at my theater for the trailers were Christian movies.
Oh!
One about a couple, which is... This movie's playing on racial lines because there's a white grandma who does not like an African-American wife of her, like, nephew or whatever. But it turns out that she has the Holy Spirit inside of her, the grandma, and that's a demon that is trying to take her baby, the wife's baby. So it's about, like, Christian... Holy Spirit racist baby stealing or something, and I don't know what the fuck that movie is about, but it's an A24 film, so it's probably trash. And then the other movie was about the most unfunny, worst Christmas pageant in the whitest town in America. So I'm like, those are all my trailers. So
was my experience better or worse than yours? Because mine that I remember was mainly Garfield.
They showed Garfield at yours again?
Again. There's a new Garfield. There's the Chris Pratt Garfield.
No,
they did a Garf.
I thankfully did not have to hear Chris Pratt Garfield in my theater. We got Beetlejuice, like some Lord of the Rings nonsense, and
you probably got newer releases because of
you're the cheap theater, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm the rerun theater.
Yeah. So like the trailers weren't that interesting because it's all just sequel. There's no new ideas. I'm like, what is happening here? Why am I in this Borderlands movie being shown shit I don't want to see?
Well, because it's of our lovely patrons and cool fans. Hey, we spent real money on this. Please go to Patreon.
But anyway, my main point about people saying this is like Son of the Mask and everybody has to go, it's garbage. I feel the same reaction that I had to Son of the Mask, that I'm like, this isn't like funny bad or bad, it's just sad and confusing.
I knew exactly where you were going, yeah. It's like, not a fun B movie.
Like, they're right about it being the next Son of the Mask, but for the wrong reasons.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because, Son of the Mask is... Everybody goes, oh, man, like, yeah, you should watch Son of the Mask. It's so terrible. Because they think that that's the funny part.
No.
But it's just terrible.
It's just bad.
It's just terrible.
But it's so bad, not in an interesting way. It's just like...
No.
Why did you do this? Why are we here? What are we doing?
Well, a lot of the times it's not even... I would posit that it's not actually just that. Because if you go, oh my god, what are you doing? Why are we here? Sometimes that's interesting. The problem is that you know why you're there and what they're doing. It's that they did it as cheap as possible with a bunch of executive input and stuff a lot of the time, or like different things like that, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like all of like kind of, it's bog standard, like they look exactly and sound exactly and are like all of the terrible movies that are like that level are all kind of the exact same problems, right?
I think I would liken it less to the horrible B movies that everybody talks about on the internet, and more to the third or fourth Resident Evil movie, or the fourth Underworld movie.
Or Underworld, yeah.
I think it's closer to those than it is the other ones.
It's all in service of just absolute batch crazy fun.
Other thing, so my thing that I thought about with that, and should we start talking about the movie?
Yeah.
because my immediate thing. So it starts out. Oh god, the start of this movie.
The start is so
Tanya.
dumb.
Tanya and I looked at each other when it was going on, and I was like, "What the fuck? Yeah, this is. I see what people are talking about." It basically starts with a record scratch. Well, that's how I got here.
I also wrote that down. It's literally record scratch. That's me. I bet you're wondering how I got here.
It's not quite, because she's not talking about the future, but it's just this really trite, tired voiceover in this just awful way. And then it goes to it's like, oh, well, like, there's a prophesied daughter of Iridia who's going to save the Borderlands.
It does the Star Wars crawl, is what it does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what I was going to say, too, but it does it in voiceover, and for Star Wars, that is my next note, because then it goes into a big explosion, and it's, I guess, a prison ship. They don't establish any of this.
You don't know these characters, and that the location, and it's very Force Awakens, I think.
Kind of,
it's kind of what they're trying to do, but
more so than that, because Roland, who is Kevin Hart's character, shows up. All that it is there's just a girl in a room. And it doesn't really look like a prison, because it's just future prison, so you can't know if it's a room or a prison cell or an experimentation chamber or what. Like, it's just, anyways, vague sci-fi-ness. Door opens, dude in a mask doing like weird heavy breathing, and I was stunned at how pathetic this was. Because they kind of do, like, I think that it was meant to be an homage, where Roland she's like, oh my god, like, who are you, kind of thing. And then he's like, oh, well, it's hard to breathe in this mask, and takes the mask off. And then she goes, oh, you're a little short, huh? And I'm like, oh my god, it is literally just the Leia rescue.
It's the Leia
little
rescue,
short for a stormtrooper. But with zero context.
Force Awakens is like that too, with the same joke. Like it's like poetry. It rhymes.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah, no,
I could not believe how much of a ripoff that was.
I have a problem with that. So they do a little short for, they sent your shortest warrior, I think is what she says.
Yes.
To Roland. And that's supposed to be a fourth wall joke to us, the audience, actually.
I think.
About Kevin Hart being short. Mm-hmm. But there's a problem with that, in that the way it's shot, every single conversation in this movie is like a bust up.
Yes, it's tight in.
So it's tight shots of the head and shoulders. But they never show Kevin Hart in comparison to another character at that point to give you the short joke. So
how could they with all the green screen?
But how am I supposed to know that they're talking about Kevin Hart being short if that's the joke when they don't show Kevin Hart being short?
Yep.
It's not a joke. It's just
it's impossible to tell that Kevin Hart is short in this movie.
Yes,
and I really do think
really weirdly. Yeah.
Well, I think that the really weird shot stuff is because it's all CG. It's all green screen.
A lot of it is, yeah.
Like, not all of it.
They set up some sets for sure.
Yep.
With a blue screen or green screen background. But I'd say it's very Star Warsy. I think that's
modern Star Wars.
Like modern Star Wars, not old Star Wars. When I say Star Wars, I mean trash. Those are synonymous. I don't know if you understand. These are the same phrase in my book. It's lingo from the kids.
This is what Boyks is saying to all of our audience. Rough Cuts hates all Star Wars. It's total garbage. Thank you. Please send all of your hate mail to not roughcutscast@gmail.com, but to twitch.tv/Boyks.
I'm just saying, I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong.
So, I mean, that's the problem. The other problem is, it goes from this, like, indoor prison where Tiny Tina gets saved / abducted by Roland, and also some random psycho gets released from prison as well and goes with them. And I have a problem with this, So, we played Borderlands. You and I have played Borderlands. I played 2.
I didn't play it with you.
No, we didn't play it together, but we played it.
Yeah, I've played bits. Yes,
We've played it. And I've done the pre-sequel. Fucking hell.
Oh my god.
And I didn't play 3, thankfully.
I didn't play 2, thankfully.
I gave up. But so the characters in the first game are Lilith, Roland, Brick, who is a punchy man, and Mordecai, who is like a hunter's. He's a World of Warcraft hunter, essentially.
Yes, yeah. He's got a pet.
And they took out Brick and Mordecai in this movie and replaced them with some random guy who's a psycho who just is there to spout lines from the game.
Krieg.
And Tiny Tina from the second game, who is a side character that became more of a main character as the series went on because tweens thought she was funny, I guess.
I think that it's more that Anthony Birch thought she was funny, and everybody went, what the fuck are you doing, Anthony Birch?
I do think Tiny Tina is written better because Ashley actually writes the character and voices it. So it's a little bit better than Anthony's normal stuff because she's not actually doing it. But it's still bad.
Yeah.
It's still bad, but at least there's some character there. So that, I don't understand why they replaced those characters, I guess. Other than maybe marketability, and that could be the too many hands, like too many cooks in the kitchen problem.
Well, I think there's this issue where, so this movie is trying, I know that we mentioned Star Wars, but honestly what this movie is really trying to be is Guardians of the Galaxy. Because it's trying to have a lot of asshole characters come together to save the universe.
And it's funny because the movie doesn't remotely feel like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie at all at any point in time.
No. Well, because they're not charming in any way, and honestly, so my thought on some of that is that so Borderlands 1 is really just these 4 people want treasure, go out, get treasure. And then you get...
And then the twist happens at the end.
And then there's some heist stuff in it. And there's a bit of a twist that like, oh, it's not actually a treasure, it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
And
it's a very classic tale, to be honest.
Which is, honestly, that one works more than fine. If they had adapted that, it would have been okay. But I feel like this movie really thinks somebody involved in it, whether it's Eli Roth or the other writer who I don't remember the name of, or whether it was just interference from the studio.
Joe Crombie was the other writer.
Right, Joe Crombie. Yeah. Or like Randy Pitchford. But it fell prey to what Borderlands itself did, which is that it gets up its own ass and it also thinks that the audience is fucking stupid. Like, everything gets spelled out for you in these incredible ways. So they couldn't do they want to have a big, we have to save the universe thing. But they're like, shit, if that's a twist at the end, well, nobody will want to see our movie.
How did you approach staying true to the game while also still bringing your own creativity to this movie?
Well, I wanted to stay true to the spirit of the game, which is fun and silliness and anarchy and no rules and total craziness. I wanted a beautiful visual aesthetic. I didn't want it to look like a kind of dark dystopian. I wanted fun and poppy. Like when I saw The Fifth Element or even Barbarella or Escape from New York, every set was like, whoa, I've never really seen anything that looks like that. So that was fun. We could really stay true to the design and detail of the game and the weapons, but we could really, really change things, whether it was the casting or the story. I just wanted a big, fun popcorn movie. Everybody goes and has a great time.
I feel like this movie is constantly ruining its own setups.
Yes.
And I don't understand why they did that a lot of the time. Like, it could be we're going to subvert your expectations, and you think this is a setup, but it's not. But it comes off as like a jerk-off hand motion instead. And it's like, look what we did. It's like, okay, man, I guess. Anyway, there's the intro, and it hard cuts to a city.
Yes.
The city bothered me because it looked like it was AI generated.
Yeah.
from a distance. All the buildings look out of place. It doesn't look like a real like livable thing. And as a random CG city, I guess that's okay, but it didn't. I was worried at how AI it looked.
Yeah,
which was bothering me. But anyway, we're introduced to Lilith, who is Kate Blanchett, who is definitely in her 50s or 60s at this point. Mm-hmm. She comments immediately upon being introduced, "I'm too fucking old for this shit." Which is either a wink at the crowd, the audience, to be like, look, isn't Kate Blanchett old?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or it's just the director, Eli Roth, realized, oh shit, she can't pull off this character at all. we need to put this in so people don't worry about her being old.
Yeah, my note was Lilith is as tired by this as I am.
That is a constant in this movie.
Which is a constant in this movie.
Yeah.
And also, it kind of felt like it was trying to also just do a not like fourth wall break there, but just, oh, well, like, look, she's this hardened, grizzled, awesome, cool person that's had all these experiences in a way. Like, they're trying to set that up.
They could do it that way, but the way it was presented was just, here's Lilith, I'm too fucking old for this film.
Oh, yeah. Like, but I'm just saying that in the context, in the context of the rest of the film, I think that's kind of their intention.
Yeah.
It's not good. And then she gets a badass intro, and I just wanted to have my note here of, this is so fucking annoying because Roland just gets introed and then it cuts and then Tina's intro and then you get Krieg who just literally bursts through a wall and then Roland goes, oh, do you want to help? And he goes, ugh.
I'm here too.
And he literally goes, ugh, and nods. And that's their intros. And you're like, oh, these are our characters? No backstory, no information on them, no reason why they're there, just nothing. Like, who cares about the characters? They're badasses. Cool.
Well, and we don't need those characters to interact and have fun moments with each other, so we don't need to care about their background.
Yeah. Like, but they're trying to set up, like, that these are all badasses, cool people, and then you get nothing from them. And Lilith is just a fucker. She's so awful. She's going and she's got this... And they also have it where... So, like, normally, in a real movie, not this shit... You have an arc of the characters. So normally you have characters that are at like a low point going to a high, like if it's somebody
there's some sort of like a curve. Yes.
Yeah. Like, and you might think of like Han Solo is kind of what she's like, right? In a way. She's like that style of character. She's an old criminal but the thing is when you think of like a Han Solo, what do you think of with him? Well, he's down on his luck. He's hunted by the mafia. He's willing to accept any job at this point because he has to.
He can get down on the dance floor and do some sick moves.
He can get down on the dance floor. He's got some moves. But Lilith... Yeah. She is super successful, super badass bounty hunter that everybody is afraid of, who has a current bounty in her possession, and some dude just goes, well, don't do that. And she goes, well, I don't want to leave because I already have a job here and I'm already successful, and why would I leave?
I don't want to go on an adventure. I already have an adventure.
I have an adventure right here. I go on adventures every day, and I'm paid very well for it. I have literally no motivation. And I'm like, there's the end of the movie.
And the whole time, as this is Atlas talking through a like a hologram face on another person. The whole time, Lilith is like, get the fuck on with it, movie.
Yep.
Why is the scene taking so long?
And... Atlas's intro is in her intro, which is where I said, oh my god, introception, and with a slow clap.
It was a slow clap where she was saying thoughts and prayers, but I'm busy.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
Atlas introduces himself by slow clapping, and he does it 4 times throughout this movie, just so that you know that he's the villain.
Yeah, so Lilith has to go to Pandora, which is a fucking shithole that she hates, and that she
doesn't have
to.
The joke is literally, that's
because Atlas kills her target and then, like, offers her a lot of money, so she's like,
the joke is she goes, you can't offer me enough money, I have enough money, and I've got a target right here, and he goes, and then he's like, transferring credits, and she goes, oh, maybe you can give me enough money.
Like, is that supposed to, I know it's supposed to be a joke, but it isn't, is the problem.
Well, and the other problem is that it's fine for there to be a joke there, but when you want her to be, because she ends up being the emotional core of the movie,
which is bad,
and the main character. It's so bad.
It's so bad.
And the main character, and you've just made a joke of her entire motivation for the movie.
That's kind of where I was getting the, like, what are we doing here from this film? Like,
you've undercut everything.
Do you not understand movies or writing? That's what I was confused about. It's not. Yeah. It's not like, what are we doing here? They're doing it wrong. That's great. Oh my god, I'm so confused. It was a what are we doing here?
Yeah. Why are you
doing this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, do you even want to make this movie? Or do you even want to be in this film? That's what I was confused about.
Sure. Yeah. I guess that's the big difference between a good B movie and a bad movie, maybe, is that in a bad B movie, you go, what are we doing here? There's not even a story that anyone wants to tell. And in a bad B movie, you're like, oh my god, what are you doing here?
But they at least care about what
But they care. Because that's a method of presentation that's baffling.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just a, like, god, no one gives a shit.
Yeah. Anyway, so she goes to Pandora to go get Tiny Tina, who Atlas is saying is his daughter.
Yes.
And she's been kidnapped by Roland, which is the opening credit scene. So I don't know why we needed to be told this as the audience. We already fucking know.
Yep.
They did this in the wrong order or something. Like, I don't really care, because you already told me.
I feel like, that is a constant problem. Like I said, this movie did one of the biggest sins for me, which is treat me like a moron the whole time. But at the same time, I was like, well, there was that dad that laughed 3 times.
There was that dad that laughed 3 times.
So maybe it was appropriate that they acted that the audience was not going to understand anything.
I'm wondering if they put a dad plant in the theater for every showing. Like Eli Roth pays a guy to go to the theater and laugh a couple times.
Take your kid. We have a child actor for you if you don't have one.
Look, I'm not into conspiracy theories, but
my third eye's opening is.
We can't both have the same dad in the theater. Laughing at this.
Wait, do you have a photo of your dad? We need to collaborate about this. Let's get the cork board.
Anyway, so she lands on Pandora. And has to get a ride, and she gets a ride from the only charismatic character in the whole fucking movie.
Yes,
who is Marcus,
the bus driver.
Marcus, the bus driver, who in the video games is just a voice on the vending machines for your guns, which is in itself a somewhat joke that you can get a vending machine gun.
Yeah,
but he's a Russian guy. He's charismatic. This actor actually cares about the role he's playing, it feels like, in a way where he's trying more than other characters and having fun, which is also a thing I'm noticing a lot of characters don't have in this movie.
No.
And this is Benjamin Byron Davis is the actor. I think he does a great job. But
yeah, he does pretty good.
But on the bus, she is being introduced to the Vault Hunter lore as we get another lore dump from a fake commercial. And the commercial is done in a way where it's basically just a video game quest being advertised to her.
Yes.
In a very dumb way.
I want to say again really quickly here too, that you're saying like, oh, this is the voiceover and you're getting another lore dump, which is the lore dump that, again, we got in the voiceover in the beginning. Why are we getting this again? It's the same dump.
It's the same dump.
There's a vault on this planet.
Yeah, in this case, it's just more about the Vault Hunter side of it, and you should come to the Vault Hunters, because that's a thing that happens in Borderlands. So somebody heard that once. They're like, we need to put that in the movie.
Yeah.
But they didn't fit it in right. They just, like, puzzle pieced it. But, so, it goes in the square hole is what happened.
Yes.
They just put it in the square hole. Anyway, video game quest happens, and then Claptrap shows up. At some point.
Oh, fuck.
Like, after... I don't remember where
Claptrap I know where Claptrap shows up. She doesn't find Claptrap until after Tina.
Is it? Well,
it's in the aftermath of the fight with Tina.
I think he is in...
Or no, you're right.
No,
you're right.
He's in the
dump.
Does
show up before
like
that. He's in the dump when she's out
the junkyard,
in
and she sees him, and then he stalks her, and shows up at her camp at night, and she shoots him in the face, and he's like, "Wow, thanks. I love getting shot in the face. I'm Claptrap. My name's Jack Black. I'm doing a Jack Black voice."
Mm-hmm.
And it was very just Jack Black.
And then she in voiceover goes, "Claptrap made me very angry, so I shot him in the face." And then she shoots him in the face again, and she goes, "Oh, Claptrap is so annoying." In voiceover, my character right now is very annoyed.
Yep,
because they had to constantly do that. Like, I'm feeling angry.
So this is your comedy relief character, in theory.
Oh, fuck.
In theory, this is your comedy relief character being introduced to the film. And you can do a straight man routine where one character's goofy, one character's serious, and there's jokes there, right?
Yes.
You can't have the straight man then say, "Fuck off, Claptrap. Get this fucking thing away from me. Holy shit, I hate seeing this thing and hearing this thing the whole time it's on screen."
They had to have some motivation for wanting to keep that thing around.
And they don't.
Right?
At all.
Or at least like some contrivance where they're constantly pushed together. Planes, trains, and automobiles.
But it's more of like a blackmail situation where Claptrap is like, "I have access to the internet, so you have to take me."
It's not even... I would say it's not even that. It's just that she literally can't get rid of him because the lore is, I'm impervious to all damage.
That is part of it, yeah.
He does literally say that. He goes, "I can't be hurt in any way. Haha. I'm going to follow you forever because that's my programming."
Yeah.
That's it. That's the reason that he's there.
The lore is also that Claptrap woke up and then was following her, not because he was just stalking her, but because he was programmed to do it, which is
specifically follow her.
Even weirder, and clearly not at all a sign of anything that us, the audience, would be able to very easily pick up on.
Well, also, but, oh god, obviously, let's just spoil it. Hey, Lilith is the most important person in this movie, as it turns out. Wow, weird twists.
Wow, even though she
surprise.
Thinks she isn't, and the whole time they're telling you Tiny Tina is, instead, for no reason.
But this brings us into the problem of, well, wait, why did anyone know she was going back to Pandora? She doesn't want to go back to Pandora, and literally no one forced her. Her motivation is, well, I don't know, somebody paid me enough money.
I mean, Atlas doesn't even know, and he's the one who hired her.
That was the thing, is I'm like, it's not even like Atlas is like, but I know how important she is, so I'm going to pay to get her there no matter what. I got to make her get to Pandora. No, he also has no fucking clue who Lilith is. He just thinks she's a badass bounty hunter. And he has zero reason to hire her, because what happens next is she goes out, finds Tina.
In Pod Racing Canyon.
And Tina does her intro, which is where we're introduced to the comedic relief of the movie, where she...
The what? I'm sorry, the what?
Everyone's comedic relief.
I
Guess what?
So there's a meeting between Tiny Tina and Lilith, where Tiny Tina's like, "Oh my god, I got so kidnapped. Haha, wow, I can't believe you're here to save me." And it's not remotely funny.
Or interesting,
and it goes on way too long.
And they just the joke that they make is that Tina asks her to grab her badonkadonk, which is like, a child
grab my ass, like
grab my ass joke from a child to an adult.
The badonkadonk thing is a Tiny Tina joke.
Tiny Tina thing.
So again, just like they took the thing and then they're like, okay, we have to put it in.
But if you don't know Borderlands, it's just disgusting. And I mean, honestly, Borderlands is disgusting, so I guess fair enough.
But Donka Donk is her stuffed rabbit, who is also a bomb. Tiny Tina's only thing is that she throws bombs. That's her only thing that she does. But what I wrote down specifically for that scene is that there is no charisma here.
No.
Absolutely zero charisma. And it goes on for so long that it stings the lack of charm coming off on the screen when there should be some.
Yeah, so you have this big fight scene, and then the army of Atlas, the Crimson Lance, who he said had betrayed him and stolen his daughter, and that's why he hired Lilith, then betray Lilith. They show up to get Lilith, or not to get Lilith, to get Tina, as Lilith is capturing her kind of thing. And they go, oh, no, we're also here for Tina on orders of Atlas, but we're betraying you.
But we're evil.
What the fuck? Why is Lilith hired?
I don't know.
He still has a loyal army.
I don't know. But then Tiny Tina's like, oh yeah? You're gonna... Oh, after she makes a dick joke about her bazooka being bigger than Lilith's gun.
Yeah.
Because they have to make dick jokes. By the way,
this movie is
I need to know.
Non-stop.
I specifically wrote down no laughs so far at this point in the movie. There were no laughs in my theater yet. It's like 20, 30 minutes into the comedy now, I think. Anyway, so she's like, you in what army? And then the lady is like, the army right behind me. And it was dead silent in the theater. And then they do a dangerous jump from Homestar Runner. And it was dead silent in the theater. And then Roland shows up in his Cybertruck.
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
Oh, not basically. Yeah, that thing is absolutely
and just drives off, picking all of them up, including Claptrap, which nobody wants to bring again.
Yeah,
they were constantly trying to get rid of this fucking Claptrap that nobody wants to see or hear.
But then suddenly they grab him. They're like,
for no reason.
I guess we should grab him. Why?
Well, because he's in the movie.
Yep,
that's it.
Like, why is Lilith on this planet? She's hired by a guy that doesn't know she's special to a place that she doesn't want to go to and has no motivation to be there. Gets betrayed by the guy who hired her with no motivation, and it's like it's all just because. Well, but she's got to be there at the end for the.
He's got to be at the end.
She's the fated one, so she's got to be there.
Fuck
off.
I do have an admission. I had one chuckle in this film actually, and it was because as they're driving away in their Cybertruck, somebody gets shot, and there's a Wilhelm scream.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I turned
and I was like,
Wilhelm.
And I'm like, I know that voice. And that got a chuckle out of me, but it wasn't because of Borderlands.
No, it was because of how bad it was. Yeah.
So here's the next thing. So they're driving the Cybertruck away from the flying hovercrafts, which are just the land speeders from Star Wars. Which the CG on those crafts is fucking awful.
Same with the bunnies. I was going to mention that too. Like, there's the big fight scene with Tina and Lilith, and it looks fucking trash. Like, surprisingly trash. Because this movie is like $160 million?
180, I think. It's a lot.
Jesus.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of money. For it to look this bad,
let me double check,
it is a lot of money.
It might be more. Let's find out.
It was 160 or 180 almost for sure. That's not marketing. That's just movie.
No, okay, 120 million, 120. So it's even lower.
Was it?
However, it only grossed 30 million.
Oh yeah, no, it's a huge flop.
So they lost a ton of money on this. But even then, it looks cheap.
Trash. It looks so cheap, and for no reason. Like, they've got enough money, but it looks just garbage. I don't know why it looks so bad.
But as they're driving away, there's a sandworm, like a Beetlejuice sandworm.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh no, we have to jump! And they jump, and in a better movie, they would go into the worm's mouth. There would be a funny scene of them driving through the worm, like avoiding obstacles, and like things are flying out like a dark ride, and they're like shooting them with their guns.
In a better movie, it would have never been.
And they're making
to
jokes, and then they go out the butthole or something, right? Like they could make a joke out of that. in Guardians of the Galaxy, they have Drax get eaten, and then he's like stabbing at them with the knives, going, ah! Like they could do a joke.
But the joke there is that doesn't work.
It doesn't work, and that's what's funny.
Yes, right? That's not a good idea.
But instead, they do their Danger-esque jump away from the explosion or whatever's happening, and then they just like shoot a hole as they're jumping, and then go through the hole. So like nothing happens. It was boring.
Well, and why would it stop any of the enemy? But also at this point, like we've had, like you said, we're 20, 30 minutes into the movie. There's Nox is the bad general who betrayed Lilith just now.
She is, yeah.
Leader of the Crimson Lance. But, like, who is she? That's all that you're introduced to her.
The only thing we know is that
name, and that's
she knows Roland, I guess. And we're not really told much more yet.
And we're never told more than that.
I think technically we are from Roland's friend at the bar later. Where they're like, Nox was the head of the squad that Roland is part of, that he left.
Yeah, he says that she's the head of the squad and then he left. But, like, that doesn't say why he left, why they have any kind of friendship. Like, just because it's your boss doesn't mean that you... Because, like, they have, like, this bond by
I don't know. I open mouth kiss my boss a lot. Are we on the same... Are we on the same page here about worker relations?
Shut up, Randy Pitchford. But, like...
Yeah.
You don't get any motivation for Nox. You don't really understand, okay, like, so the Crimson Lance isn't betraying him? Like, what the fuck is the Crimson Lance? What's Atlas? Why is Roland left? Why did he leave the Crimson Lance? Why is he helping Tina? Like, what does Atlas actually want? What's any of this got to do with anything? What's Tina doing here? Why does she stay on the planet? And then, like, why do I even care? Like, there's so little exposition.
It's implied that
anybody.
Tina and Roland are hiding, I guess. But Claptrap can just, like, track them using GPS, so what's the point?
Like, there's... Yeah. And nobody has any explained motives or charm or, like, reasons to be together. Like, Krieg is there again. We haven't even mentioned that Krieg's there.
Just because,
but,
yeah,
Krieg's reason for joining was literally, would you like to come with us? Oh.
Yeah, okay.
What the fuck? Why would I bother? Like you said, why are we here?
One thing I noted at this point in the film is that our main character is constantly sighing in every scene.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think means actually Lilith is supposed to be us, the audience.
Yes.
Being inserted into the film. Because that was the feeling I was getting as I was watching. I was very connected to Lilith in a way where I'm like, oh god, not again. Why are we here? What are we doing, man? Anyway, they decide to all work together, even though Lilith is a bounty hunter hired by Atlas.
Well, listen, and this is what I was going to say now, because they have their scene over the campfire where they're all like, they go, well, we can't let Lilith in. She was hired to take Tina away, which... Good point.
And she might betray us.
And then Lilith goes, well, but I'm dead when they find out that I betrayed them, kind of thing. And I go, wait.
You did what?
No, okay. Wait, that doesn't make sense? What? Yeah. No, like, Atlas wants you to get her. If you get her, that's your job. You're done. Why would they be mad at you? They turned on you, and they're even supposed to be the people that you're rescuing her from, because he said that Nox went rogue and took her.
I guess.
So he set her up to take Tina. So no, she still can just take Tina. She has no motivation still, and they just go like, "Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense." And it's like, no,
They just go with it because the movie says they have to go together.
Because they have to, yeah. It's just movie. They've got to all be friends. Well, the movie said they are.
So then they end up going to Cyberpunk Town /
just some wasteland town.
Some wasteland town.
I was like a Fallout thing, almost.
It's Fallout-ish. It's kind of Blade Runner-ish, but bad at both.
It's Borderlands. It's bad at... Borderlands is a bad pastiche of these things.
But they decide they have to wear disguises, because Roland is on wanted posters. So they all put on, like... hologram masks, kind of like how Atlas was using earlier. And that way none of them can ever be found out. And then they immediately get recognized by everybody. Yes. By Marcus, noticing it's Lilith because of the gun she has, because he's a gun pervert. It's like
one of the only kind of fun things
he's a gun
in this movie was Marcus again. Marcus was really charming, and he goes, you have the Mark V! It's you!
I never forget a gun.
I never forget gun. And I'm like, okay, like that's, like, I didn't laugh. But at least it was wow.
I felt a moment
there's a character
joy.
with charm.
Yeah,
like there's a character with a bit of charm in this. Holy shit! Then Roland, there's a single person.
Like they go to Moxie's bar.
That's also Roland. By the way, that's also Marcus's final scene in the movie, if I remember correctly. He should have come
back. I don't know what they were doing.
We're talking 20 minutes in, and we've seen the most charming person twice, and now they're gone. Get strapped in, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. So Roland gets noticed by his buddy at the bar. Mm-hmm. Even, again, they're wearing disguises, and they all get immediately noticed by everybody. Moxie also notices Lilith immediately. So the disguises were literally pointless. They didn't do anything.
On top of that, the guy goes, "Wait, Marcus, is that you?" Roland, is that you? And instead of going and just like walking away and acting like he didn't hear the guy to, keep his disguise.
He's like, no, I got this.
Chase him.
It is me. Yes, I'm me.
Yeah, he's like, "Hey guys, hold up a second." Turns it off and walks over to the guy and starts talking to him. And you're like, "What? But okay, sure, fuck it."
I don't know why they didn't give Kevin Hart any funny jokes in this movie. He could do funny things. He's a comedian.
I have a moment for that in a minute.
I'm so confused. This is the perfect opportunity.
He's the straight man.
It's the perfect...
it's so weird.
I think people complaining about the casting in this movie is a little bit off base in a way. I think these actors can do these characters well. And there are scenes where there are little hints of that potential, but their direction is so fucking bad.
Yeah,
they're just given nothing to work with. But
I don't want to blame the actors too much. I think the actors did what they could with this fucking garbage script.
And making Kevin Hart the straight man with no jokes and no room to like improvise is so bad.
Yeah, it was weird.
But anyway, he goes off. They get immediately found out, and then they get into a gunfight. Like every other gunfight in this movie, it's just boring gun stuff. They're very underworldly.
And if you'll notice, that's pretty much been the whole movie so far.
Is gunfights, yeah. And then somebody gets electrocuted, and Claptrap, Jack Black, in a room by himself, away from all the other actors, so it sounds like he's talking to himself the whole movie. Remarks about how electrocution causes defecation.
Yeah, my note is, haha, bad guy pooped himself. Yay!
I need to point out in my notes, I also still wrote down, there have been no laughs in my theater at this point.
I think that this got a chuckle out of the one dad, if I remember correctly.
Oh, your dad is way worse than my dad. Your theater dad is way dumber.
It's really hard to remember because I can't think of a single moment that you would laugh, and I didn't write them down, so I'm like, I can't remember where it was. There's nowhere that it'd be good. There's nowhere that it would make you look good.
But Moxie tells them about a secret and an elevator and a code word. So they go to the elevator, and the elevator is literally what takes them from scene to scene. Yes. In the next couple scenes, to the point where I wrote down, I felt like the characters were just being shuffled from place to place to have another scene, like a stage show, instead of like naturally moving from location to location with energy and momentum. They were literally just piling together in a car or in an elevator.
It's like a video game. It's accurate for Borderlands.
It's like a loading
get a load
zone.
Screen.
Oh my God. It felt very disjointed.
Yeah, and this is the moment, so they go up there, and Jamie Lee Curtis is there, and she starts lore dumping again about how Lilith was abandoned on this planet.
Yeah.
And that's all that it is, just, oh, well, your mom loved you a lot, and I'm glad that you're back on Pandora, because you're supposed to be here. And Tiny Tina, Krieg, Claptrap, everybody is doing comic relief all at the same time, all over top of each other, screaming in this cacophony of noise, which has been kind of just the movie nonstop for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And at this moment, when they're in there, Kevin Hart goes, "Please settle down," to which I wrote, Thanks, Kevin Hart, the least comic relief person.
I wrote,
what the fuck?
Roland is the serious anti-fun character? What? No fun! Well, stop it.
But it was also, none of them are having... That's fun that I would stop, too. But it was very much, it felt like the Kate McCushy, like, let's all have a moment of silence where we all, like, went, oh, thank God.
When he said,
please settle down, I was, like, literally like, oh, thank you, Kevin Hart. I'm so glad somebody finally told everyone to shut the fuck up.
I think that was just Kevin Hart telling the actors to do it in that scene, because he was just getting overwhelmed. That's my headcanon about what happened.
Stop screaming.
Anyway, so then we're introduced to, I think, Jamie Lee Curtis, who is Science Lady.
Tanis.
And we get another info dump about clones and how their keys are used to open the vault. There's 3 of them. One of them is the person that's here, and it's Tiny Tina, because she's the special one of the group. And she keeps telling everybody in the audience that she's the key, so she has to be the key. And you got one more key, so we need to get another one from this dungeon. Let me show you a quest.
Yes.
Then I wrote down, like, super weapons, bro, keys, dog. Something like that happened. It was really dumb.
I wrote down a couple of pieces of dialogue here, verbatim.
Okay.
So Lilith talks to Tiny Tina at this point because they think that Tiny Tina is a key to the vault. And she goes, well, wait, like, so Atlas isn't your dad kind of thing. So they're kind of having that conversation. And she goes, Lilith says to Tiny Tina, is he your father? And Tiny Tina goes, yes and no. And Lilith goes, not a yes or no question. Which, is he your father? Yes, no, yes. That is literally a yes or no question. What the fuck, guys? Does anybody read this dialogue? Yeah. Did anybody read this fucking script?
They also introduced the concept of, like, a phoenix that's, like, a guardian of the planet that guards the vault or some bullshit.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing that happens in Borderlands 1, so they're just trying to fit it into the story. Here's a good point to talk about this. So, some of the complaints I heard about this from people that have not watched Borderlands online is that this movie it has jokes that feel like they were 8 years out of date.
Yeah.
And that also means that people have not played Borderlands, because that is Borderlands. Borderlands is jokes that are 8 years out of date. This movie, however, does not have pop culture references or jokes outside of Badonkadonk. It is literally not Borderlands, like, where it feels aged and old in its references, because there are none.
No. It just does it in its, like,
it's just its
dialogue,
presentation and dialogue feels old. And
but even, I mean, God, even at what point would it have been okay to have, like I said, dealio? And I don't even know what character said it, and I can't remember, and there's no way I could pinpoint it, because slow your roll, what's the dealio could have easily been like 4 different people.
And what's your message to fans of the game who are a little skeptical of this adaptation?
I think that the game is the game, and if you want that experience, you're going to play it. But I think have an open mind and let yourself be taken on a ride. You know, this is a movie, obviously the game is very R-rated. This is PG-13. This is a movie you can take your kids to. If you want people to get into the game, take them to see the movie. It's also a story you've never seen before with characters you love. So let yourself be taken on a ride and just have a great time. I'd say shut your brain off, grab your popcorn, and let the movie entertain you.
As the characters are leaving, they go back to Moxie's. They get found out because Claptrap is a fail creature that sucks.
Yeah.
Which is a constant. And then they have to leave literally in the trash.
Yes.
Like they're Ashley in Resident Evil 4. Which I thought it was very poetic that the characters are in the garbage at this point in the film.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like poetry, it rhymes.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme. Every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one.
And then they go to the next place where the key's supposed to be. It's an underground area where there's different psychos. They're different because they're underground. I guess.
And they're blood shots. And wrote down psychos in cave. Who are they? And it's like, oh, it's psychos that other psychos are afraid of. And I'm like, okay, well,
what does that mean?
As you might notice from what we've talked about, psychos have been zero threat so far. In fact, they haven't even shown up in the movie at all. So, who fucking cares?
The only one that showed up is technically Krieg, and also one that like Lilith snipes and then steals a car from, I think.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. But anyways, this is the first laugh in my theater. Because Claptrap is looking at the hole, and he's like, I can't go down the ladder. I'm sorry. I'm not built for this. And then they push him down the hole. And that got Dad to laugh. The dad in the theater.
Oh, your dad's way better than my dad,
because physical comedy of pushing him down a hole was funny.
I mean, bad things happening to Claptrap is at least slightly cathartic at this point.
Yeah, at that point it wasn't funny. It was just like, oh, thank you.
Oh, God, Claptrap's not going to be in this movie for 10 seconds.
Yep. So anyways, they go down to the sewer, which has acid sewage, I guess. And they meet the Bloodshots. And then they need a distraction to get past them, so they can't get past them otherwise. So they send Claptrap out, who is indestructible. And Claptrap, like, goes through all of them, and all the psychos are looking at him like he's a hot piece of ass. Mm-hmm. Which is almost a joke, if they were playing, like, sexy music during it or something.
They could have done this for laughs in a way, yeah. Like, something like that could have... It wouldn't have been good, but it would have been better than what they did.
It would have been funnier if he's, like, dancing around, or if he's doing the mask scene or something like that, where he's like doing a salsa dance or something.
Yeah, like, or like hook him up in like a bikini or something. Like make it like
funny, right?
Because then it's like really out of nowhere where it's like, what? Like they're gonna want this fucking robot? Like they're like right? they're gonna want to fuck this robot?
And then he's like, oh, that didn't work. And then they just all pounce on him. Right?
And you could have honestly you could have played into it where it's like, it does work, and they're all like, woo woo, and then shake it, lady,
really
and like,
awkward. Yeah.
And then he's a distraction, and then it's really awkward. Like, you could have done, that would have actually been interesting.
They could have done the tequila scene from Pee-wee.
So what they do is he goes, hey, shit fucks, I'm gonna fuck your ass, you fucking losers, fuck ass, cunt, loser, fucks.
I wrote down, he calls the sewer psychos poopy mouth bitches. You poopy butt, bitch mouth.
Wow,
booty.
That's so...
I also wrote down, nobody in my theater fucking laughed at this.
No.
It was dead silent.
It feels like it's almost funny because of how much it feels like that's the worst possible decision that you could make in this scenario for him to be a distraction.
It again is just like the jerk-off motion that I was talking about earlier, where they're deflating their own setup.
Mm-hmm.
As it's happening, and I don't know, like, what are we doing here? That's the constant I have as I was watching this, is like, why did you make this?
So then they run off and they have their distraction. They sneak past. Claptrap gets away, but then when they're looking through all of the boxes to find the key,
because there's a warehouse,
Claptrap alerts the guards, because even though he's like, this is we talked about how Lilith earlier, they make a joke of her motivation, which is like, it undercuts the whole movie. They do it again in a way. Like, they keep undercutting the very nature of their own characters to make a joke. Like, your characters should be part of the joke, not the butt of it in a way, or like not subverted by the joke itself by their very nature.
Yeah.
He can't be shot. Like, his outer shell is so hard that no bullets penetrate him. So why does he get caught by them? Oh, because he has to shit out all the bullets they shot at him. How would that work? He can't be hit by the bullets. What the fuck?
Let me set up the scene for you. This is for the audience who is definitely not going to watch Borderlands.
I don't want to think about
So they're in the warehouse. Lilith is walking around. There's like 1,000 boxes, and they need to find the one key. And Lilith walks directly to the box with the key, opens it, and takes the key. Mm-hmm. There is no tension. There's no anything. She's like, oh, it's a key, and then walks away.
And there's never an explanation for it. No.
And then as she's walking back, they hear something. They think it's the Bloodshots that have recognized them. And they turn around all scared. And it turns out to be Claptrap with his ass flap open, diarrheaing bullets like just a pile of bullets shitting out. He's like, don't look at my ass bullets. Don't look at my shit.
Oh my god, I'm shitting so bad.
My shitting diarrhea.
My ass hurts so god. Oh, that bullet's huge.
And then it cuts back to the characters, and the characters are like, why did we bring this fucking terrible robot with us? I hate this character so much. I wish he wasn't in the film. Which is, again, me, the audience, watching the movie.
Very meta.
It's so funny. Nobody in my theater has laughed at this joke. I need to point out again. This is not a laugh moment in the movie.
My dad chuckled.
Your dad is so much worse than my dad.
My dad's the worst.
I feel like I got off better then.
Your theater dad. I wish that my theater dad would go out for milk and not come back.
Your theater dad went out for cigarettes and never came back. Yeah.
I wish.
Anyways, and then the Bloodshots do show up, and there's another gun scene.
So, I have a confession.
Yeah.
I laughed here.
Oh, am I gonna have to cancel you from the podcast?
I also had a laugh. My laugh was not because of the Wilhelm scream, but because during this fight / chase / gun chase scene, Tiny Tina jumps on a man and gently caresses his neck, and he like turns his head to the side, and there's no noise, but they're doing it like it's a neck snap, and he just gently slumps over, and it's like it looks like she's giving him like the gentlest caress on his neck.
It's like they did a Quiet Man like head pounce where he jumps over the guy.
Yes, like it's like just like you can tell that the actor, like, it's like this huge hulking dude and this tiny little girl, and she jumps on him and like very gently caresses his neck, and he turns his own head very slowly and then slumps over, and it's like, was that a neck snap? Was that what that was? Because there's no sound it's even, and weird. I just ended up bursting out laughing because it was so bad.
I think this is also the Ace of Spades fight, where they play Ace of Spades. And I was annoyed at the choice of Ace of Spades, because it should have been Psychobilly Freakout.
Yes.
They're fighting psychos. It's the perfect, like, get some Psychobilly rock in there with the... You can even keep the flashing. The flashing's bad, but it would at least fit the scene better than Ace of Spades. Like...
Yeah.
Well, I gotta talk about the soundtrack later, actually. I'm annoyed at the soundtrack, too. But anyway, the psychos are just zombies now.
The soundtrack, I just want one quick thing. The soundtrack is for the cigarette dad.
It's for the cigarette dad. Also, there's no Cage the Elephant, which is the whole point of Borderlands. Yep. There ain't no rest for the wicked.
You should have had, yes.
They didn't even have that song.
Nope.
What were they doing? Why are they here? Yeah, but the psychos are just zombies, is my point. This turned into a Resident Evil movie.
Yes,
in the sewers,
absolutely.
And they do the zombies on the like cage that are trying to put their arms through and trying to break it, and the elevator's broke. They can't fix it, so Roland's like, "I'll do it manually outside. I'll sacrifice myself to the zombie horde." And they do the scene where the elevator leaves, the zombies break through, they all pounce on top of him in a big pile. You're like, "Roland, no, I'm 8. I can't believe my favorite character's dead." And all the characters are crying and leaving. And in a normal movie, they would have Roland show back up later, and he would explain the situation, and they would do like a fast forward of what he did to get to this point. And it would be some funny comedy thing. In this movie, they do the jerk-off hand motion.
It's a comedy movie.
But they do the jerk-off hand motion, and he just gets up. He's like, "Wow, that was the worst orgy I've ever had. Ho ho!" And then just like... Yeah. Reactivates the elevator and just leaves. So they throw away any tension that they were setting up for that scene. And again, just like, fuck this. This scene was a waste of time.
The other thing about this scene is that it was one of the moments that I used as an example talking with Tanya afterwards about how this movie thinks that you're a fucking moron. Because they run to the elevator, and the elevator is out of order, and they show it with sparking wires.
Yep.
So then you see Tanith runs over to it, and she goes, "Oh my god, we've got a wiring problem. I'm going to fix it." Starts working on the wires. So it's like, okay, we already saw that there's a wiring problem. You don't need to then tell us there's a wiring problem, but whatever. Starts fixing it, hits it, and then another wire, it zooms in and it shows that there's another wire that's broken and it's sparking and it's broken. And then she goes, oh no, there's another wiring problem. And then Roland goes, oh, there's a wiring problem? Let me go fix the wires. I can fix them outside of it. And you're like, oh my God, we can see this. Like, you don't need every character to tell you exactly what we're watching.
You could just have all the characters look at each other with shock on their face. And then Roland say, I got it. Right? That's the scene. You don't need to...
Or like when she runs in the first time and she's fixing the wires, she doesn't need to go, oh my God, it looks like a wiring problem.
Or she could just
let me do the wires. She just runs in and goes, oh shit, and starts working.
Oh shit, I need a minute. Or something like that. That's all you need.
You don't need to... Like, you've already shown us what the issue is visually. You don't then need to repeat it 4 or 5 times visually and verbally again and again and again.
So then... Tiny Tina and Lilith have a break because Lilith is talking to Atlas from a fixed hollow phone.
You missed one thing because they don't quite get out of the elevator. The elevator goes up so fast that they're going to die.
Yeah.
And then they teleport.
Right, they teleport, and then it's like, well, Tiny Tina has to be the protector of the world because they teleported.
And she's like, wow, I can just do that with my mind. And it's like, What?
Yeah, I think I did write down, oh, she could teleport now, or whatever. Yeah.
And like, that, why would, just because she's a key to open a vault, why the fuck can she teleport? What the fuck does this have to do with anything?
So they break off, Lilith gets knocked out.
Yeah.
And then they go, Tiny Tina, Krieg, and Tanis go to the vault by themselves. They try to open it, and it turns out that Tina is not the key. But that's because Lilith is the Phoenix or whatever, the Firebird, and then it shows all the scenes that we've already seen, where we already, the audience, have figured out that of course it's Lilith. Obviously, this is the dumbest twist ever. Mm-hmm. And then Lilith shows up out of nowhere, and is like, "Don't worry, I'll open the vault," and she does. And then Atlas is there also for some reason.
Well, I have a bunch of notes for this.
I'm like, what?
The stupidity of the ending just starts escalating. Like, it gets so stupid so fast that it is hard to grasp how quickly it does it.
Yeah.
Because, like, Atlas threatens Lilith, so they have, like, their moment of misunderstanding, which is why Lilith isn't there at first. And he goes, oh, well, I'm going to kill your friends if you don't listen to me. And it's like, well, yeah, that has been the explicit threat the whole fucking movie.
You were going to do that anyway. Don't worry.
That's literally, and then she goes, well, I have to then. And it's like, what? No, you don't. What? What the fuck?
That's the part where you tell him to fuck off.
Yeah. And then, but they have to do that because then Lilith has to have a misunderstanding, because movies like this have a misunderstanding. And then when he shows up with his army is now a bunch of psychos.
For some reason.
Which, well, like, that blows away the entire world building.
Kind of. There was technically a scene earlier where the army was talking to the psychos, and they drove a truck up to one psycho. And it was like, hey, we're working together, and then drove off, and Lilith remarked, oh, they must be working together. That's weird.
But that whole thing blows up the entirety of the lore, because the whole point is Pandora is a lawless place. Atlas needs her.
Yeah.
And Atlas needs her and hired her because it's so lawless that even his army can't control it all. Except now, all of a sudden, he just controls everything. And he is the ultimate threat in the universe that has total control over all of the universe. And you're like, well, why the fuck did any of this need to happen then?
Also, I need to point out, so once Lilith opened the vault, my second laugh happened. This is like last...
Oh, you have two? Oh, you're so much worse off than me.
This is like not my second laugh, my theater's second laugh.
Oh, okay.
My theater's second laugh, and this is like 7 minutes left in the film. That is not a good spread.
No, it's not a good hit rate.
And this is when Tanis sees Lilith activating the vault, and then she says, I figured it out. You're the Phoenix who is the protector of the world, and it was not Tiny Tina, because you're the main character, not her, which is explaining the plot. And this made my theater dad laugh. Which I
okay, that is kind of funny. That's like my laugh about the next snap.
That laugh was a what?
Yeah. That's an okay laugh. Yeah, your theater dad is so much better than my theater dad. Holy shit!
And then the boss fight has started once Atlas shows up, because Atlas had like a hologram sheet covering where he was. He was basically like Wizard of the Oz hiding behind a sheet, watching them for some reason with his army. And they do the boss fight, and Lilith is now a winged fire angel who can cast buffs on her party in video game fashion. Claptrap has become Kung Fu Panda as another wink at the audience, and is grabbing dicks left and right, which is supposed to be a joke. I think. And then I also I did write down a Dragon Ball Evolution fight. Because at this point, it does feel like Lilith versus Atlas is very Goku versus Piccolo in Evolution. Yeah. And that's only because we watched it recently that I'm like, you know what, this is actually kind of Dragon Ball Evolution.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that.
But my theater's third laugh also happened after this.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think Atlas then takes Tiny Tina hostage.
Yes.
And then Lilith says, well, shit. And that, well, shit, made my theater dad laugh. That was the 3.
My note on this whole fight, because what... So, they show up without Roland, because Roland's dead.
Quote, unquote. Even though we see him get up and leave.
And even though we see him get up and leave. So all that, we know that he's going to show up. And Lilith is gone because they don't like her anymore.
Even though she knows she's on her way back.
Even though we know she's on her way back. So they try and open up the vault, and then he reveals that he's got an army. So I'm like, oh, they've lost. And then Roland shows up and rescues them, and I'm like, they've won. And then immediately Nox the general also turns on Atlas for no explanation.
He's like, Roland, you were right.
Yes. What's like, right about what? We never got any motivation. What the fuck?
And then she gets blown up by a spaceship laser, which then
she gets blown up by a spaceship
that again
laser.
Is the air jack-off motion.
Yes. So they get blown up by the spaceship laser, so I'm like, oh, well, they went from they've won because of Roland to they've lost again. And then Lilith shows up and I go, they've won! And then Lilith gets shot by the space laser because she can't handle the power of the space laser. I'm like, oh no, they've lost! And then Lilith gets up and I'm like, oh, they've won! Yeah. Like, it is just that over and over and over and over for like 8 minutes. And then like, finally, and I'm like, okay, well, they've won. And then he grabs her and puts a gun to Tiny Tina's head and I'm like, holy fuck, it's 5 minutes later and they've lost again! What? I'm like, oh my god, they blow up the ship, but somehow lost again.
Yep.
What the fuck?
And so he forces Lilith to actually open the vault instead of just turning into the Phoenix or whatever. Yes. It's not Phoenix in the movie, but it's the Phoenix. And and so she does, and then Roland and Lilith get pulled in. I don't think Tiny Tina does she? No, she does.
No, she does.
She does.
She does, because I have a note on that, too.
So they get pulled in, and then Lilith inside the vault has, like, other special teleport powers that she could just, like, fade in and out or something now, like a spooky villain.
Whatever.
And she's
basically a god.
And she's a god in there. And she gets Tiny Tina back, and then she feeds Atlas to hentai tentacles, I guess. Yeah. And he gets pulled into the tentacle dimension. I guess.
I do want to also mention Krieg has a one-liner that should have been played for comedy a la Drax. So, like, there's a moment in the first Guardian of the Galaxy where, because Drax doesn't understand metaphor, that's the joke of his character, and he grabs a dude who's been a villain throughout the whole movie. This is the other thing. There's a big psycho general now instead of Nox, because when Nox dies, they have to have an actual general.
The boss fight, yeah.
So they have a different guy who's just the general before Nox even shows up out of nowhere, and he's a psycho, so that he can be Krieg's fight. And what's so funny about this is, like, in Guardians of the Galaxy, there's a guy that's a henchman like that who's kind of showing up throughout the movie, and he ends up being Drax's, like, big moment. And Drax does, like, rips his head off kind of thing and goes, finger across the throat means death, which is a callback to him not understanding metaphor. And then he's like, is that what it was?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Did I do it right?
The motion.
He's like, did I do it right? And it's like, oh, close enough. In this, Krieg does the same thing, but then looks at the camera, and it's not played as a joke in the slightest. This is meant to be a serious badass moment. And he goes, nobody kills me but me.
And
fuck
you. The problem with that too is that is, I think, taken word for word as a voice line from the game. Because I don't think they have Krieg voicing anything. I think he's just a body. Yeah. And all the voice lines are just psycho voice lines from the... It's like in Doom when they did like the first person BFG sequence. They're like, we need to do the BFG thing. Like, it's like that, but they just
I love that they're like, let's... You know what we should be like? We should be like Doom.
The Doom movie.
The Doom movie.
Anyways, Atlas gets sent to the tentacle dimension. Yes. And then it goes back to Pandora in one of the big cities, and everybody's celebrating, and there's fireworks. And I wrote down Yub Nub, because it's literally the celebration from from Return of the Jedi.
My point on that was, everyone celebrates because he never controlled the planet. That's the whole point. It's a lawless planet that they say has many corporations fighting over it and psychos everywhere. These are the psychos. They're all just cheering because...
And technically, the vault can still be accessed.
Why?
And nothing was ever really, like, completed.
Literally nothing changed. It's not like because she's a god, the planet's saved and there's going to be, like, everyone's going to be happy and free.
The only people that would care about this are the characters. Because it's their story, and it's their win.
Yeah.
It's not the planet.
No, not at all. Like, they're not saving anybody but themselves.
But the fireworks are going off. The Claptrap is telling Lois to go jump up into the sky and do a big firework explosion with her fire and abuse her powers as a god. And she's like, no. And he's like, you should really do it. Well, okay. And then Claptrap shoots off like a little... firework explosion, but it goes off early, and then he makes a premature ejaculation joke, and then the movie ends. There was no joke. Oh, and also Lois says, I'm old again. I'm old.
Yeah.
Remember me? I'm still too old
for this shit.
Just like Logan. I remember the ending of Logan, where Logan makes a premature ejaculation joke. He's like, I'm too old for this shit, and then leaves all the kids in North Dakota.
Yeah. Yeah, he was fine on that log. It's just that he didn't want those kids anymore.
No.
Go away. No, I'm dying. Definitely. Run away. I'm definitely dead. Please leave.
That's how that movie ended, I'm pretty
sure.
Yeah,
I remember it. I've watched it.
Anyway, yeah, that's Borderlands.
This pile of shit. This pile of shit. It's so frustrating to me because they change all of these things from, like, the first game and add in all these bits of the second game.
They try to combine the two, yeah.
And make it this big faded character story. Whereas, if you actually did I can totally see a movie where you get, okay, there's 4 characters that all go down to a planet separately, trying to find a gigantic fabled treasure, accidentally cross paths, have some conflict, but there's an army that starts chasing them because they find the first key somehow, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And they all collectively have to band together, and it becomes basically a heist movie where they're, like, heisting the keys to get into there, and, like, just the plot of Borderlands 1. It's fine.
You could just do that.
It's not great, but it works. This makes no sense. Like, there's constant stuff that is just, like, nobody's motivations make sense. Nobody's character arcs make any sense. None of the, like, lore of the movie makes sense. None of the, like, the psychos don't operate in any way that matters, that makes sense.
I'd say shut your brain off, grab your popcorn, and let the movie entertain you.
they undercut all their jokes. They undercut their own plot and character interactions and motivations. Like, I don't even think this is an editing problem. I think this is just a direction problem. And they didn't have a direction, it felt like.
I think it's a problem of both. Yeah.
A little bit of both. This was an editing hell. This is another thing to point out. This movie was announced in 2015. We're getting to like 9 years in development, essentially. Although it was only started to get shot in, I think, 2021. Yeah. And then it was an editing hell for 3 years after that.
Mm-hmm.
So, ideally, it's only been in the works for 4 years, but they've been kicking this thing around for so long. And
almost a decade.
And this was the end result. And I don't even think it was necessarily the meddling or the editing during that time. I think it was just like...
I think it's a combination of all of them.
It's a lot of that, but it's also like, I don't think they knew what they wanted anyway.
No, I think that it's a writing problem. I think it's a meddling problem. I think that it's an editing problem. And I think it's a directing problem. I think it is a problem across the board. Every single part of it had issues.
And at the end of it, I didn't come away with like, oh, that was fucking awful. I came away with the feeling of like, but why?
Yes.
Which isn't funny or interesting. It's just, but why?
The biggest thing about this movie is that, like, I heard some other people talking about this, and it's, to your but why thing, it's less that this movie is terrible and so got, like, a bad rap, and people stopped watching it. It's that nobody went to watch it in the first place.
Nobody wanted this movie.
Because no one wanted this movie. The only people that wanted this movie were Randy Pitchford, and he managed to get a studio involved some fucking how.
Yeah, seeing the movie open up with Gearbox software already gave me a bad feeling. But unlike seeing a movie open up with Ubisoft, which gave me a good feeling somehow, with the Werewolves Within movie. You know what? They should have got the Ubisoft folks to do this movie. Which is a weird fucking thing to say.
Yeah.
But it would have been better. It would have been quirky and interesting.
I had to look it up because I was thinking about it. You mentioning that this has been in development hell since 2015. It really feels like a studio bought into it because Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2 were mega hits. Like, just massive hits.
And they're Xbox, like, 360 era. We're way past that.
Well, and that's what I was kind of checking, is that, like, when you look at it, like, so Borderlands, then just, like, two kind of was a huge hit, but also one where people were like,
it fell off a little bit in 2, and then 3 was a huge fall off, yeah.
It definitely fell off quite a bit already, though. Like, in 2, people were like, man, I don't know that I needed more of this. And then the pre-sequel came out, and the pre-sequel came out basically around this time that this was getting picked up as a movie.
God.
So I've got to imagine that when this movie was getting greenlit, they were looking at like Borderlands 1,
looking at the sales,
and maybe a little Borderlands 2, and going, wow, this thing's huge, and it's got a decent enough plot. Like, there's enough wiggle room to do something with it, right? And then you had Tiny Tina's Wonderlands and the pre-sequel and Borderlands 3 come out, and every one of those just went further and further and further into the fucking tank. And they were like, I got to imagine there's an executive somewhere there going, oh my God, we've sunk so much. We've got to release it though, right? Like, we just got to fucking get it out there at some point, I guess, because they're just destroying their own brand the entire time.
I will say this is written better than the pre-sequel, which is not a good sign. Oh my God. After having played the pre-sequel, this is written better than the pre-sequel.
Fuck, dude.
That is the lowest of the low.
Yeah, we couldn't possibly get all of it in, but like, you've got to imagine that Claptrap and Tiny Tina, and to a lesser extent Krieg, are just in every scene that we're talking about, it's just constantly, hey, fuckface, oh my God, I'm shitting myself, like, just in the background of other people talking, it's nonstop.
Yeah.
just a cacophony of like jokes of just them like shitting each other and calling each other cum dumpsters or whatever.
The cum dumpster thing is basically where they were trying to go. And this is a PG-13 movie. I want to say this movie I think would have been. I think it was trying to push towards an R rating, but they wanted to get kids to go to it, so they had to lower it down to a PG-13. But the kids aren't going to care about the premature ejaculation and the diarrhea jokes, and the adults don't care about the diarrhea joke, except for my theater dad didn't care about the diarrhea joke. So not
it was that. One bad theater dad somewhere that laughed.
Somebody did. So
it was a really, really weird movie for that kind of thing. Because like Eli Roth as director for a PG movie makes no fucking sense.
So I feel like they wanted it to be R rating, and they wanted gore.
It should have been.
And they wanted this and that, and they just couldn't do it for the audience they wanted to go to it. But the audience they wanted to go to it didn't care, because Borderlands is like a 30-something movie at this point, since it's been so long since Borderlands came out, that your audience has grown up past the point of where you wanted to make the movie for.
Yeah.
So, like, there is no audience for where they've settled on.
This thing is just I think that you need an entire documentary to figure out where the disaster is in this. But also, who cares?
To go back to, I don't want to blame the actors. Jack Black does things because he loves his kids and he wants to do video game movies.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis does that too. I'm totally, like, they're not good in this movie, but I know why they're there. I get it.
Yes. Yeah, I get why they're there.
Kevin Hart does a ton of kid movies, like Jumanji and stuff too, so, like, I get it.
Also, Kevin Hart does a lot of trash.
I'm like, I get it. So, like,
same with Jack Black.
Yeah, I don't want to blame the actors, but everything about this is just, like, it's confusing. I guess.
The actors definitely have nothing to work with, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with their performances with what they're given.
I don't even think
it's the one thing that's fine.
Kate Beckinsale. Is that, or is it Kate Blanchett?
Kate Blanchett.
I am confusing the two, because we just did Underworld.
Got it. Honestly, the aging thing really did. I never connected that, but yeah, they're both like 50-some.
The last time you were here, we talked about your movie Tar. You play a conductor and composer. Now you're an intergalactic bounty hunter.
Yeah. I've also been an elf.
Yes.
And Bob Dylan, so it seemed a bit, when Gearbox said they were making this, I thought, well, I haven't done that before.
I don't even think she's miscast. I think it's fine that she's an aging bounty hunter, and I think they could have worked it in well. And I think a lot of the online discourse about how they miscast this film and all this, that's not the problem.
No, that's definitely not
the problem is everything else. I also don't think the CG folks did bad. It's not good, but for the budget that they had and where they were, I don't think it was well spent.
I have problems with the CG, but I think that so the CG for me, my issue was there's a lot of scenes where it looks great, actually.
There's a couple where it's, like good, yeah.
Yeah, like, there's quite a few scenes, like you were talking about, where they do the wide shots, and they've got, like, big set, and then, like, a blue screen background, and they do, like, the whole planet. And I'm like, damn, these look really, really good, actually.
They had fun little details, too. Like, there's one point where Lilith is using binoculars to look at a landscape, and they have the binocular vision, but it has, like, cracks and things on the lens that me, the audience, would see if I was looking through, like, an old binoculars. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of clever that they put a little detail into that scene that didn't need that.
Visually, I think there's a lot of great things in this movie, but then you get to Tina throwing the bunnies, and it looks like a cutscene from the game, from an Xbox 360 era game.
Yeah.
Like, it looks fucking trash. And so it's just wildly inconsistent, and I do wonder if that's part of the, like, reshoots.
That could be the 3 years of re-editing and
the editing hell problem. Yeah. And also that, like, we're looking at this as a 2024 CG movie when really
it's a 2015
CG movie. And yeah, so, like, it's oh, what a disaster. Like, it is. This is a movie, like I said, it really does need an entire documentary to unpack what exactly went wrong and all the things that went wrong with it. But also, who would fucking care? Because it's such a
nothing
movie in the
thing.
first place. Who fucking gives a shit?
Anyway, let's rate the dogs. Let's get over with Borderlands.
Yes.
Claptrap's a dog. It's confirmed. Claptrap shits on the floor.
Bad dog.
That's a
bad dog.
Bad
Claptrap. A potty training out of 10 for Claptrap. Let's move on. I don't need to talk about Claptrap.
Claptrap has a potty mouth too.
Oh god, yeah. So again, potty training. Potty training out of 10.
Yeah,
he needs some potty mouth training too.
I guess I would give Claptrap a jerk off motion out of 10.
Second dog, Krieg. Krieg is loyal, and he mostly communicates through grunts. He's very loyal and loves his little adoptive daughter, Tina, I guess. I think
there's some implication that Tina's father is Krieg or something. I don't know what's going on.
No, I don't think.
Or he's like a father figure, but not really.
Yes, maybe. I don't.
It's weird.
He's their dog. He's their dog. Krieg is a good boy who doesn't die because only he can kill him.
I guess. And then also I have an honorable mention. Not a dog, but wish was a dog, and that is Marcus.
No, yes, yeah.
Marcus is not a dog,
good
but
boy.
I wish he was a dog because he's the goodest boy of the film.
The goodest boy in the movie, absolutely 100%. Yeah. I would give, if we're gonna go and give Claptrap another rating, I would give Claptrap a Chili Dogs main character out of 10.
Chili Dogs is still worse than Claptrap. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
by a lot.
Yeah, okay,
by a lot.
There's no racism from Claptrap, at least.
Claptrap is just a bunch of poop and dick jokes, and it's like, okay, you're like the Kevin James character, I guess, but they got Jack Black to play you for some reason, which is not a good thing.
God, I just want to see Adam Sandler's Borderlands. With that, I'm gonna.
No, you
please follow us on social media where you can suggest movies for us. Maybe ones that aren't like Borderlands.
Yeah.
You can give them into us. You can email us roughcutscast@gmail.com, or you can find us on Blue Sky or Co-host where we're Rough Cuts.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I got my Claptrap popcorn bin right here. I'm ready to open up.
Oh my!
Take a look at this popcorn. Oh my god!
Holy shit! He's shitting all of the seeds. He's just shitting them forever. It's just endless. Oh my god! Boyks, please shut it.
My whole life ruined by dogs.